vobiscum. Welcome back to the channel, and to another episode of The Vestal Virgin Plays. So today we're going to be playing a sort of emotionally heavy sort of game. Do be warned that the sort of story that we're going to be walking with and reading today does mention thoughts of depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation as part of the testimony we're about to see. But The Longest Walk is a walking simulator, a very short one, where we walk through someone's testimony about their struggle with mental health and depression and the darkness in their life. It's a very, 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 very powerful discussion. Very, very straightforward, very matter of fact, as this man tells us, sort of his, as I said before, his testimony, I couldn't think of another word, about how he sort of dealt with it. So The Longest Walk. It is going to be emotionally heavy. I'm going to try to not talk at all as we walk through this, and then we'll just have sort of my rambling musings as usual towards the end. But just starting off, I think this is a powerful medium one can use to tell a story. As I've mentioned before, video games are not just for, running around and blowing stuff up and riding horses through fantasy worlds and fighting demons and so forth. They can be useful visual tools and very impactful art pieces to tell stories, and I think that is what we are about to experience right now. So, without further ado, let's get started. To be warned that The Longest Walk does deal with some quite heavy topics, but that's one of the reasons that I wanted to play it, because I believe that in order to be able to overcome such things, we must be able to talk about them, and so here we are. So we have escape is pause, WASD for walk, and this for look. Right, well, let's go on. Oh, footsteps.
I felt anxious, so anxious that I was burning. My heart was beating really fast. I couldn't sleep. I got tireder and tireder because I couldn't sleep, because I was worrying, and I was worry. I've let my family down. Everyone's going to suffer because I'm no good. Everybody who relied on me, it was a false reliance. I was a fake. Therefore, I worried even more about what financial disaster I'd put on my family. So, anxiety, nervous energy burning off, lack of sleep. Yeah, I remember vividly curling up in a ball in the living room floor, howling, not even crying, howling, seeing how shit I was. Yeah, I felt so bad. That's all I could do. I just wanted to be taken away from all. I only realised something was wrong when I was driving back from school crying, and I knew this wasn't right. It was a build-up of stress in work and expectations of work, and then finding that I couldn't do it. I wasn't alone. Other people were struggling with it. But I just thought, I can't do this. Why? What's wrong with me? Why can't I do it? I'm a failure. I knew I was stressed. I didn't know I was depressed, and I think it just got worse after that point. There was no stopping it. Once it started, the feelings of negativity about not being good enough, I couldn't stop it. The whole thing made me feel that I was worthless, so I didn't want to meet anyone. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I was so worthless that there's no point in, I shouldn't be indulging in my hobbies, which I love, my cycling and my books. I couldn't do that. I could see, and now I can, that these are the sort of things I should have kept doing. I should have kept in contact with people. I should have gone out on my bike. I should have gone to the cinema. I should have done this. I just had to hide because it was an embarrassment, and I was a worthless human being. And all the things that laterally I know is how you deal with it. I couldn't. It consumed me. Finding a way to kill myself that nobody would get hurt with. I.e., if I didn't want to jump on a train in case the train driver had to suffer stroke. I didn't want to hang yourself in the forest because some kid might find you. But I didn't want to kill myself. But I did. And it was not a drama thing. It wasn't attention. Kill myself. It was. I'm a useless piece of shit. I'm no good to anyone. Everybody would be better off without me. Which doesn't make sense. Now, I say it doesn't make sense, but I was so desperate. I was so down. I could understand why people would do it. And I was so numb that I could feel that people in my position then I could see how they could do it. But unfortunately I knew I couldn't because of my family. There's no way. Even though I was suffering and I was hating it, and I was absolutely hating myself, I would have never done that to my family. I remember a run and actually being on the beach at Kingsbands, thinking, because it was away from you all and I was having me time, then I reflected, what a fucking great life I had. This is brilliant. I love my family and this is great. I can do this. I am a guy who did a lot of things on his own, and I think when you give him time to other people as your job, sometimes a wee bit of time to yourself without being too selfish. But as soon as I got out there and into my stride, which I'm not a great runner, but into my stride the head would clear, and then you could just enjoy the experience. You hear the birds, you listen to the sea crashing in, you feel tactile, the sand, and experience doing that sort of thing. So I could enjoy the surroundings. But yeah, at the start, rush, because it's always about timetabling, and at the end, yeah, more relaxed. Come home and get on with the rest of it. I know that I've had these issues. I'm hopeful I won't have them again. I can't tell if I'm going to have them or not. I don't know what's going to kick in. I didn't think I'd get it after the second time. But then I went back into a position of responsibility and I had a trigger there. that I didn't want to be ill, and I knew that I should be doing certain things and doing all these different techniques, but I couldn't stop it. And that was also a frustrating thing, that to have this experience of 2 big episodes, and then the third one to come again and know and be aware, because I was awareness of triggers and stresses, and because I couldn't get a grip with that made it worse. And for the second and third episodes, I got better at dealing with it and saying, well, I can't do anything about it, I'm ill. If I had a broken leg and I was on a plaster, it's obvious. But because I've got a broken head, it's not obvious to see that I'm ill. I think the last time I was ill was so much quicker, because I did get the grip. I would like to think I'm a better person for it. It was a good thing. It was a horrible thing, but it was a good thing. And that it made me reflect on what was important. The family was more important than anything else. What other people think doesn't matter, apart from what's close to you. And work is important, but hey, it's a job, and getting that balance right, and that's what was wrong. Boys, I don't know, that we talked about, and I think they weren't fully aware of just how seriously ill I was, which is brilliant, because we were too young to deal with that at the time, but it's good to talk about now. I hope they know that if anything like that happens to them, then they understand that, well, it's happened to their dad, so, and he's still here, and he's still okay, I hope. And yeah, that if it happens to their friends, and that happens to people they love, that they'll have insight into it, to know that people need help.
Goodness. I have tears in my eyes after that. It was a very powerful testimony, and a very straightforward and very real story from the developer's father, and it hurt to read and it hurt to walk with him through that story, because I think all of us can sort of see a little bit of that in ourselves sometimes. Maybe not to that level, but when the dark thoughts really start to creep in, when our brains really turn on us, when our thoughts really turn on us and dig in deeper with their knives, it's this sort of, I just forgot the name of it, but sort of this like tri-wound. It's like a bayonet wound, where if you pull the bayonet out, I remember reading in one of my history books, it leaves a hole that cannot be filled, and that is what our thoughts end up doing to us, is they get so deep and they become so dark and so vicious that we feel like we can't find a way out, and it just seems to keep sinking in. I'm glad that his father was able to fight it. I'm glad that his father was able to get away from the darkness, if you will, able to, he wasn't magically healed. He said he went through it, I think, 2 or 3 times, and he kept falling back into it. So it is always going to be a battle, but if you have a plan and you're able to recognize it for what it is, and just simply say, no, I will not give in, my thoughts do not define me, I define my thoughts, then you have something to work towards that can help you. But I thought this game would be an interesting play, because I had it on my Steam library for quite a while, because it was sort of put out there as a walking simulator. But as I do sometimes when I actually pay attention to the Steam store page, I decided to look up The Longest Walk, because I didn't really see a lot of traffic on it, if you will. So looking it up, I found the website for Alexander James Tarvet. I'm not sure how to say his name. Alexander Tarvet. I'm going to say Tarvet. And looking at his website, actually, he has several other projects. He has a PhD, and this game was created as part of a series of PhD prototypes at Abertay University. So that's very interesting. And ignoring the Steam page and going directly to the developer's website, it states, and this is a quote from the website, that The Longest Walk is a documentary-inspired walking simulator game about my father's experience of living with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. This work is a wider part research project exploring how games can be utilized as a creative medium for representing biographical and documentary storytelling within the applied context of lived experience of health issues. This game aims to reduce feelings of isolation through shared experience and encourage those who are struggling with depression or experiencing suicidal thoughts to reach out for help. Through my father's sharing of his personal experience in an open and frank manner, this documentary game aims to provoke discussion and tackle the stigma around opening up about mental health issues. This project can be passively watched as a video documentary or played as an interactive game, allowing you to take control, explore the story at your own pace, and contemplate whilst walking in his footsteps. So that was very, very interesting a read, and very much aligns with the goal that, beyond the fun that we have with this channel, the reading and so forth. One of the things I would like to do with this channel is provide it as this place to provoke discussion, to tackle stigmas, and to foster a place where we can all discuss media in its many forms. And with it, not just what the media gives us, but what can we give to media? How can we use media? And as The Longest Walk demonstrates for us very, very well, it can be used in almost a reportive way, as a documentary, a different type of storytelling that goes beyond just an audiobook or narration or physically holding the book yourself. It gives us a chance to build the worlds that we want to tell the stories in. And I think that it is a beautiful thing and an underdeveloped thing too in many ways. I think there are a lot of interesting stories and other things that we can really bring to life in such manners. And it's just a little bit untapped right now. But as we saw in the credits too, the amount of items that are out there that are free, or that you can get for yourself rather cheaply through freelancers on places such as Fiverr that I've utilized personally, there are so many opportunities for someone. If you have a story, a documentary, or something that you want to pursue, you can do it. If you want to tell a story such as Mr. Tarvet has with this, through his father's own story, you have the ability to do so. Take up the mantle and tell the story that you want to tell. I believe in you. But this game was a hard play. All we really did was walk around, but like I mentioned before, it is one of the things I want to tackle on this channel as well, is exposing these games to people, being able to talk about them and the subjects that they contain, because the only way we're going to be able to help, the only way we're going to be able to recognize what's going on within our own lives and in others, is to talk about them. We can't ignore them, and part of tackling the stigma, as Mr. Tarvet puts it on his website, is provoking discussion and actually discussing these issues. I very much appreciated that he had the link for the Samaritans there as well. Do note that if you resonated with his father's story, you are not alone. I myself have had such thoughts sometimes with regards to, letting my own thoughts get to me, letting them tell me that I'm not good enough, that I'm not doing enough, that I'm a failure and so forth. I think we all have those little inklings that get into our minds sometimes. But we have to make sure that we don't feed them. We have to make sure that we're able to turn and say, no, my thoughts do not define me. I must define my thoughts and make them work for me and not vice versa. It's not easy. So that's why it is very important to know where you can turn to help, and just know in general that you are not alone and that you are loved. You are truly and well loved. So thank you for joining me in playing this game, The Longest Walk. Again, very simple game, very short, very poignant, and a very interesting example, I would say, of being able to use a video game medium to tell a story in a non-video game way, and really sort of opens one's eyes as to the potential for video games to become documentaries, storytelling, biographies, etc. And I wonder what they will eventually evolve into if we decide to pursue this thread. So again, thank you for joining me. I hope you will have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope that you know that you are well and truly loved. Pax vobiscum. Goodbye.